Welcome back, everyone, to the Educational Currency Podcast. I'm Chris Kaladakis from Maximum Education.
I'm Robert Namoski from the Coaching College and Ultimate Jiu-Jitsu.
And I'm Kate Pentecost, producer of Educational Currency Podcast and English tutor at the Coaching College at Rockdale.
So we've got Kate on the show. So what does that mean?
It means it's the end of the season.
Season 3.
Season 3.
Yes.
30 episodes.
Yeah.
3 seasons later and exactly 1 year.
Yes.
1 year later.
1 year to the week since we started recording.
Absolutely. So it's been a very eventful year for us with, starting it from scratch, seeing where it will go and how we've improved. What have we learned?
That's it, and I think that's our topic for today, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yep.
What have we learned? Okay, starting a podcast, starting it as a business, working together. I think that's something we're going to be all sharing today and kind of different ideas about things we've learned, skills we've learned, and hopefully it's information for you if you're out there thinking about starting something new this year, especially 2025 and New Year's resolutions and all that. You might go through some of these thought processes yourself.
Yeah, so basically for us, it was just being passionate about teaching, and then our conversations began in the playground.
Yeah.
So
your conversations.
Our conversations,
Yeah.
yes. He was the year coordinator they were in year 11 then.
Yeah.
That would have been 2023.
Yeah.
And I was the appointed Extension 1, Extension 2 maths teacher. So we were really pouring into these kids.
Yeah.
Getting them ready to start the HSC from year 11, giving them this high level of content of mathematics, and then obviously, liaising with Chris on their well-being, etc. And then it was Chris's idea to turn around and go, my approach seemed a little bit different to what he was used to, and he liked it. Yeah. And he goes, we'd be okay at a podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know if he took it seriously. I did.
100% I did.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely because,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that I hope we've gotten out to our audience, different perspectives and sharing different perspectives.
I meant back then as a joke.
I was in, man.
You were in,
He
was in,
I was like, wow, this guy wants to work with me.
Yeah, more than work. And I went, wow, he's actually smart and it would be great on the podcast as well. So combining our collaborative experiences, and we kicked it off, but we didn't know how we're going to do this, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. And then Rob goes, you know what? I know a person.
I know
someone. Yes.
Just by brief conversation where she mentioned, how does podcast work? Well, I did podcasts. Please, Kate, take it on.
I had not long been tutoring. Just started tutoring.
Yeah, just started as well.
Started tutoring. So it was like a double whammy of new starts, double projects. With you, and then you had all this lovely equipment that...
we just rolled it in.
Yeah.
We went, okay, Kate's on board. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Me and Chris can somehow talk.
Yeah.
And here we are.
That's it. And really, the way it
1 year later.
The stars really aligned, didn't they?
Yeah.
Conversations, then starting a new job, and then just kind of like small conversations like, what, we can make this work. We can make it happen.
Yeah, and I think too, conversations about what to talk about, what subjects to cover, just happened so organically and naturally. It was very easy. If anything, it was more about what don't we talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or what are our top 5 things to talk about.
That's more
first.
explain to Rob what not to talk about.
I think I've got 2 younger, smarter people keeping me in check. This is very important. What you can and cannot say. Things you can and cannot do, which has been my teaching experience at a school as well.
We're all learning. We're all lifelong learning.
There's always someone there to keep me in, well, it's not quite appropriate. But why? So I think that's where I learned a lot from.
But it has been a learning curve as well. We're starting off, we're putting our faces in front of a camera, we're putting ourselves on social media, and the things we do say, you're accountable for them, and obviously our foundation is we want to be putting positivity out there, and especially positivity in the realm of education, and I think we've done a good start, haven't we?
I think so.
Yeah, so basically, what has changed with you? What's the one thing where you go back, look back and cringe and go, oh God.
I'll let you guys go first.
Well, look, I'm happy to go first because my one is pretty evident, and maybe the viewers have even picked up on this too. My responsive language can sometimes be very cringe, I've learned. And now I'm watching the videos, I'm very big on, like, if Rob's saying something, I'll be like, okay, all right, okay. And I think there's some of the conversations happening, it just got too much. So, just learning, better responses, because when you are filming, you do these half-hour episodes or 1 hour episodes. Man, Chris, just shut your mouth and let Rob talk. You don't need to throw them in every now and then. So that's been one of my takeaways from this first year, that I've got to get better responsive language going into our next year of podcasting.
Myself was engaging with Chris, the guest, and the camera. So I've never done that before. Yeah. And my wife pointed it out to me. You've got that serial killer look where you're staring into the camera like this and then smiling.
That's because I said to you, smile down the camera.
Yeah,
to the
smile
audience.
down the camera. So I'd stare at the camera and then I'd smile down the middle of the lens. When looking back on it, yeah, that didn't quite come across too well.
I think you referred one to us where you did it and then you did this intense gulp into, and you did it really look like you're going to hurt someone.
It wasn't a good look. You think people are meant to be, this is meant to be informative.
Yeah.
And fun.
Not something out of a horror movie.
No.
I think that made me really cringe.
But it's hard too, because it's over time, it's over that 1 hour period, and you've got to be it's like a multiple conversation between each other, and obviously we have a guest or when we have Kate on, that we're ensuring we're facing each other, but then facing the camera, our audience too, it's kind of like we're all a part of that same conversation.
But that's the whole point. Do something that's very uncomfortable.
Yes.
You actually find daunting and intimidating.
Yeah.
And I did find having this in my face, that camera pointed at me, and now everything you're going to talk about is recorded.
Yeah.
You better be careful, and if you're giving information and content out, at least make sure it's relevant and informative.
Yeah.
So it's not something that can be put out there as some sort of conspiracy theory or something really out there. So it was made me more careful with my conversation, articulate my words a little better, and just, there's a sense of responsibility. Once this is on, the camera's on you, and people will listen to this.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. It's got to be really evidence-based, and we're educational currency. We want to be putting valuable stuff out there, so we want to ensure that what we're saying to our audience, is of value.
And that's why I'd like to point out, we do a blog post with each video. If you go to our website, we do have a website, not just a YouTube channel.
That's it.
And the blog post will usually have a summary of the episode, but also, where relevant, a link to relevant sources as well, because we want to footnote.
And someone very hard-working keeps that up to date.
Yes, thank God. Thank God. And don't forget, me and Chris learned very quickly to say, yes, Kate.
Yes. But for me, it was actually getting on this side of the camera, because that wasn't the original bargain.
We stitched you up very quickly.
You did. It was one text message one morning of, you'll be the guest tonight. And I was like, okay. Can't get out of this one. Yeah. But it's a nice, not as terrible an experience being on this side. And then it gives me empathy for when we do have the guests over.
Yeah.
Because some of them come in and they're quite kind of blown away by the mics and the light and everything all together. And it can be intimidating if it's your first time. So that was something for me to learn.
Oh, it's a very valid point too, because even every time me and Rob kind of start one just together, there is still this kind of awkward first 5 minutes, where you are nervous. But then over time, you just, as the conversation comes, it does start feeling more natural and you get into your groove. But I guess those nerves are always there because you want to present yourself well. And I know we did put you on the spot that time, Kate, but you still have every time come across so articulate, and you and all our guests have come on. They've got so much to give, so much to give, and hence why we asked them to come on. But even though, and we've seen it too, some of our guests, we see them all the time, and they're very confident people when we work with them. The second you put in front of a camera, it can be quite daunting.
Yeah,
but I think that's a very normal, natural way to feel.
Yeah.
It took a few minutes to get them comfortable and bring out that expertise in them.
Yeah.
And if we're adding to the things we've learned too, we've kind of learned conversation before we start filming and kind of getting them comfortable in the environment before we start recording. I think that was extremely important to make our guests feel welcome, and we'll continue to do that as we go forward, so that when the camera does start rolling, it hopefully minimises that awkward startup, and then just it's a bit natural as we start.
And also, again, when we started this project, you said podcast. I thought we were just recording just to kind of voices and recording on the camera just to kind of help things along, and maybe the YouTube, some people tune into it, but actually it's a YouTube channel now.
No, when we rolled that out, we really rolled that out. We rolled that out,
Yeah.
yes.
But you got that going. You're the one who kind of figured out, like, these are the avenues on the podcast. There's Podbean, and you got it obviously with the Apple one as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, you know, and then obviously YouTube attached to that. The fact that you're releasing on so many platforms is amazing too. So, you know, you're catering to different audiences and their preferences. People would just like to listen to it, and then obviously through the video as well, through YouTube too. Like, so that has been an amazing learning process in itself. You know, that you've done a lot of work on the back end there.
And it's the first project where I've had to roll all of that out at once and fresh, and just me doing it. Not a team. And it was really great to see it all come together.
Yeah.
And I do actually go in and compare the stats where I can across the different platforms. And it's not too dissimilar, but I will say there's one episode from season 1 that's definitely had the most streams through Podbean, and most Podbean services collects data for most of the audio streams that we do. I don't think it counts Spotify, but yeah, there's one episode on mentoring young teachers that clearly within like a month of going out, someone must have shared it, and it's got like 3 times more streams than the other ones.
Wow, that's awesome.
So thank you for all the support.
Yeah. And thank you for the likes and the comments. And like, I do giggle when I get someone commenting on the YouTube going, "Is that Mr. Kalidakis from 2013?" And someone,
Been around, haven't I?
Yeah.
and someone on the Halloween episode said, "Wow, great set." And I was like, "Yes, that was worth all the set."
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You were the prop queen then, weren't
Oh,
you?
yeah. So I think it was like Mary Poppins' bag. I just kept bringing out more props, and I think Rob was going like, "Do we need the candles?"
I just say yes, Kate.
That's it.
We just roll
Kate
with
wants
it.
to run a seance. We're running a seance.
We're doing that.
Hey, I've got a business to run here.
Well, technically it is a business, and that was one thing that doing this process with both of you, getting the experience of setting up a business and registering the name and getting the URL, and
absolutely.
That was fun.
For myself, I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
So whether it's popular or not, I'm learning.
Yeah.
So bringing the guests in, grilling them with questions. Because the way we operate, and me and Chris just have this chemistry between us where he's well prepped, and I just throw the side balls in.
Have we actually explained how we prep an episode?
No, not really. No.
I don't think we have.
I guess
No.
that has been a bit of a process in itself. What traditionally happens is, obviously, as a team, we think of specific topics, that we think would be valuable for our audience, and we try to plan out what we're going to do by seasons, and you know, especially with this season, we had a clear theme with the progression of teachers throughout their career and all that. You know, we mentioned what types of guests we would like to have, and you know, the relevancy of episodes. What will then happen in the week leading up to an episode? Usually, I'll try to structure a transcript together on what we'll need to do, and I'll share that with the team. And obviously, we've got a group chat where we share all our stuff with it. You guys will add your input to that. And then as we then do the episode, we stick to the transcript, but then as Rob kind of alluded to,
We let it run its course.
yes, okay.
So
Well,
happens.
Yeah. So how the conversation develops, it develops. What interesting topics come out of the person and our guest or between us just naturally flows into its conversation.
And I think that is especially important in a podcast platform. You know, you can prepare as much as you want, but then it's pretty much you're just going to be reading a script. But I don't think that caters to a podcast. I think that's where Rob's strength really adds to it, that it's got to be a bit more dynamic and conversation based, and it's going off in these multiple directions too, because I think that's what keeps it interesting, you know. And the questions you think of is hopefully what you're thinking of in the audience too. Why don't you throw it? And I think you actively think that too.
No, I prepare as well for it. So off your off your transcript. Okay, this is what, and we do give our guests the questions. So any guest we have here, we'll give him a bunch of questions we think we'd like answered. He may give us questions that we could ask him. But then depending on their experience, depending what the topic will be, I'll get my own research happening, readings happening, I'll prepare for it. And then whatever questions come into mind, I ask. So I ask the public questions, parent questions, you know, as a parent myself, you know, any questions, anything that becomes a bit too technical, I feel needs to be re-explained, I'll ask a question. So the topic or the guest, or even Chris as well with his AI can can explain that. So it just keeps it more informative. And for myself as well, because I actually do not understand either. I would like it answered for myself. And especially the first question I ask could be a bit selfish. Well, I kind of don't get this.
Yeah.
Ask it in a way where, can you explain it again for me?
Yeah, which is perfect because you are the voice of the audience when you do that.
Yeah. So that's something I've learned to do as well, but it does require preparation. You don't just walk in, okay, I'm just going to ask a question. Well, how can you ask a question when you don't know the topic?
No.
And skill to deliver it
to.
in such a natural way.
Yeah, it's preparation. Preparation does give you a natural delivery, and depending on what the guest says, or Chris says, or Kate says, something could spark an interest that I would like to know personally for myself, and off I go with it. And sometimes the whole podcast, 20 minutes, goes off onto a tangent with that, and then it's bring out Chris as well. I realised where you bring to ask questions like that.
Well, look, it is because that's actually one of the benefits of me doing this, because I did want to improve my conversational skills too. Beyond the podcast as well. Delve a bit deeper, have deeper conversations with people, because how much do you learn through a conversation? Everyone's got experiences, and that's something we're trying to share through the podcast, especially through our guests, that we are trying to get that out to our audience, these different perspectives. A different perspective doesn't mean it's the wrong or right perspective. It's just a different one, which you can apply to your own practice, okay? Or just have in mind when you do approach different situations. So I love the fact that it's learning through conversation, and then questions that do probe, that do delve deeper, do enhance our own understanding.
Yeah.
So it has been great learning that process.
Oh, we have to. That's the whole point of this podcast, is to enhance our own understanding. And then with that, people get to come along for the ride.
Yeah.
And we are trying to get teachers into the profession.
Yeah.
It's a great profession.
It is a great profession.
Yeah. It is, like I said, parents give us the most valued asset in society.
Precious
is in our hands.
Yeah.
Is in our hands. Teachers make or break a society.
Well, they do. The youth are the foundation of our future.
That's right.
Okay, we need to invest in them. We need to give them opportunities. We need to give them knowledge and positive experiences, because as we get older, they're the ones that are going to look after us. Okay, or they're going to inherit the world.
And
we'll do it for you, okay?
That's right. And I'm actually, when a young person watches the podcast, that's very rewarding for me.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
To say, okay, there's something in there that they're learning from us. It's not just in a classroom. And when they actually give us feedback, you do get that sense of, okay, wow, I've actually reached out to this person.
That's right. We're connecting with these people too. And, even going on to that, that's been another benefit of that too. Like, obviously, there are students out there who listen to it and say how much great things they're learning. But even in the wider community, people are starting to connect now at this point and say, oh, I really like this episode about this. And I mentioned to you the other day, was the first time I actually went into like a shop, and someone that I've never met before in my life came up to me and said they love the podcast. And I was like, this is amazing. And that was at Kmart. And I was like, wow. And he goes, you've never met me before, but I love what you and the team are doing. Please keep it up. I'm getting into teaching myself. I really take on board what you're doing. Please keep it going. Like, it's good to hear that we're getting to a point where we're connecting with an audience and hopefully encouraging the growth of education in our community.
Absolutely.
And I really love how it does cross those three audiences of students, parents, and teachers as well.
Yeah. So far, 1 year down.
1 year down.
1 year down, exactly.
1 year down.
1 year down. So what would you, personally, I'll put a question out there for us, to myself as well. That's what I do.
Throw down the gauntlet.
Throw it down the gauntlet.
This wasn't in the script.
No, it wasn't. See, it's not even written on there. Okay. What else do you think you need to work on? What would you like to improve?
I have plans for the lighting.
Yes.
I'm pretty happy with the rest of the set. And there are times where I can't edit out the cars and the pedestrian crossing. So if I could control the audio a bit more. But apart from that, it's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Okay.
I feel very happy when the main feedback I get is that it looks very professional.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Yes.
It does.
Because we put a lot of work into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You do a lot of polishing.
Thank you. Thank you. Not as much hard editing as you'd think. But yeah, that takes polish.
Yeah.
Mate,
A little bit.
making these heads presentable is a miracle. Not the prettiest things to look at. No. Yourself?
Look, with me, like I think we're at a great point. I'm so happy. Like we're at a point where it's even exceeded my expectations. So I'm incredibly happy. As I mentioned before, most of my criticisms are just on myself. That's really the only thing I can control. Just the language I'm using, my responsive language. One of the things I saw early on too, which is noticeable, is my ethnic talking, where I move around a lot where I talk, and I ended up moving too far away from the camera. And obviously my microphone, and you couldn't hear what I was actually saying. So just being mindful of little things like that, and trying to come across as a professional. And I think moving forward too, and I've already alluded to this one too, just making the guests feel comfortable. I can't take it for granted that this person coming in has ever spoken in front of a camera before or in front of a microphone before. And I think I need to have more empathy towards that they're coming in cold into a scenario, that is not comfortable to them yet, and helping them make them feel comfortable. Because I actually love having guest episodes on. As much as I love having these episodes with Rob, that just feels like second nature now. But every time we have a guest on, it's special. Yeah. And I want them to feel that, that they are welcome, and we appreciate so much them coming to the show. And I'm hoping for more guests going in, to our second year of the podcast.
Oh, absolutely. To answer my own question, actually thrown back at me, I'd say I'd like to articulate my words a little better, because I am severely tongue-tied, and I do get intimidated by both of them, the way they talk.
Kate's number one. Kate's the standard on that.
Mary Poppins.
Okay, there are words that I can't say very well.
Yeah, but that words we don't even know.
I think things I've struggled with that my whole life. I didn't realize I was so tongue-tied, where I actually sound like I've learned the English language really well when I'm actually born here, educated here, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm quite, I'd say, a little bit nervous with that until, I settle in, get comfortable, and the conversation just flows. Yeah. So it's something I'm always conscious of, and I'm constantly looking at improving. So sometimes when my thoughts run a little bit too quickly, my tongue doesn't catch up with the words, with what's going on in my brain. But and that can sometimes I can come across with things a little crude. A little bit more, almost sounding Russian-ish. There's certain ways with that, and the way I look as well with the training doesn't help that. Helps it in a certain context, but then not in another. And also, this year I'd like to, as you said, get more of a conversation happening with the guests.
But if one thing that has grown with us as well, I should throw on to what you just said there, is we are, although we've always been good at talking to each other, we're picking up on each other's cues. And I think if you are going to get into a podcast with a peer, learning certain cues that are showing, when to balance the conversation out, when is the next person ready to talk, or when are you willing to hand it over? Because that's been helping us with our duration and stopping us from getting tongue-tied and letting the next person kind of prepare when the time to start, and that becomes a bit more natural too. So I think that has been an aspect.
Yeah, with that, because you told us, don't worry, take the practice. I remember your words you were saying. Yes.
And I was going to say, one of the first things I said, I think after recording the second episode on the first day, was remember, not everyone watching knows you're Chris and you're Rob. Yeah. And you have to, when you throw to each other, every so often remember to say each other's name.
I think I still need to get better at that too.
Yeah, that was...
Thank you, Kate. I will pass over to Rob.
Kate. Yes. Hey, it's only been 1 year, so...
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
but it's actually nice too, Rob, that you shared that vulnerability too, because obviously people that know you, Rob, all know you from a context of, well, this guy can do anything. He's this positive, strong, role model, Many people see you in these great aspects as an educator, as a master in jiu-jitsu and all that. But for you to reveal too that, when you get in front of the camera, those nerves are still there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And your insecurities, you may not present them. You've got this stoic sort of look, but they are there. Yeah. And you're consciously wary of them. Yeah. And, what comes out then comes out.
Yeah, that's it too. And you push through it. You push through it.
I'd say, absolutely. More than be consciously aware of it and then just naturally, just incrementally try and fix it. Yeah. So that's something I'm always aware of. I do. Of course, we watch our own podcast.
Yeah. It's our favourite show.
It's my wife says your own voice sounds cringy to your own eardrums. That's a
very true fact,
So those first few episodes, I had to gulp them down and really just listen in.
You can't handle listening to your own voice.
It's one thing to listen to your own voice and constantly go, I don't sound like that.
Yeah.
And then
I think I do.
And then adding watching all your facial expressions and your hand movements and just the cringe.
Yeah, and I've got a squish. That's something I don't know how to work on that. My head squishes too much when I smile.
Really?
Yeah, that's one. I don't know.
Oh, and the focal length of the camera also affects how your face looks on screen.
Yeah.
And lighting and all those other things.
So mine's not as square as it is in
No.
real life.
No,
on camera.
the focal length would be, and different facial topographies as well.
Yeah.
That's why movie stars can look very different in real life
Yeah.
versus being on celluloid. Yeah. Because your face does look different with the different planes. That's getting too technical. But yeah.
I think you've been using a good one on my head, okay? The topography's coming out all right.
That's coming out good.
But I always feel like that with our guests when if I don't remember to take a photo of them while they're here and I have to take a screenshot and then turn it into the photo for the social media of trying to find a good angle that I hope that they like, that looks in their mind a complimentary photo to them. Yeah. There's a lot of, pushing through that self-criticism I think is a good life lesson.
Yeah, well, it's something you have to do.
Yeah.
Like if you think you're perfect at something, you clearly have issues.
Yeah, that's right.
There's something psychologically wrong with you.
Yeah.
But being able to self-criticize and then be able to find ways to incrementally improve on that it's actually a very rewarding experience, I'd say.
And I think that's one of my favorite things is as I'm editing each video and releasing it, seeing the gentle improvements as we go as well.
We have improved?
Yes, we have. Yes.
Put that on a vote.
So actually, in the comments below, give us what you like about it.
Especially going into season 4 as well. We'd love to hear ideas.
Yeah.
What would you like to hear from this podcast? Put it out there because we do want to be something that is supporting our educational community.
Yeah. Any topics you'd like us to talk about? Any guests you'd like us to bring on? Things you liked, things you kind of would like to give us positive comment, or even a negative comment. Yeah. This is social media. Feel free to do that.
As long as it's
no trolling.
No trolling.
Constructive. In a nice way.
Oh, we can deal with trolls.
Physically. Remember what he is.
No.
Yeah. Do the face.
There's ways. That can... Do that Eastern Bloc smile. No, it's good.
I was wondering, did you guys have a favourite episode? Either that we filmed and or one that you watch back and was your favourite, because they might be two separate.
I always like our team ones. Like I said, I love guest ones and I love our team ones, especially the end of season ones, like the end of last season, the one we did on movies. That was a good fun episode. So, that stands out as one of my favourites. But then I do also like those core ones that me and Rob have worked on too. Like one of our episodes, which I don't think actually has many views at this point, was just on subject selection. But I actually felt like what we covered in that episode was really just on point, meaningful, and very valuable, when you're getting to the end of or midpoint of year 10 and you want to think about what to pick and its influence. I think that's a really good episode too. So in a variety of contexts, there's episodes that are fun and there are episodes that are informative. And, it's kind of a balance of that. So that would be my answer to that. What do you think, Rob?
I like our banter. It is, because as teachers, we naturally fall into giving information.
Yeah.
Like for the subject selection one, we just... And the chemistry we have between us, you talk, I talk, and I want to hear what you want to say, you want to hear what I want to say. And it becomes informative, because even though I've been doing this for a long time, there are certain elements when you talk that I go, oh, wait a second, I need to pick up on that. So with the teacher hat on, that just flows naturally with us. But then having the banter,
that's a fun way.
The banter was fun. I have to admit, the banter with Nick was fun.
Like you're gonna have a rematch, are you?
Nick's quite articulate. He's one of our tutors here, and he's had quite the reputation for actually, having that articulate view, being able to really express himself, and then watching him get caught out in front of the camera was quite enjoyable. I've never seen him do that, and it'll probably never happen again. He does want to come back.
He'll be back. He'll be ready.
I'll look forward to it, because it is someone, just in a natural conversation of things, I do learn from. just about, literature, English and certain things in life, his perspective on. So I have to admit that was fun.
Yeah.
Knowing someone personally I know as a friend, having that banter with him and with yourself as well. There was an episode where it was just fun.
Yeah.
It was just fun, like teasing each other a little bit as well.
Yeah.
I'm hoping season 2 we do get that humour in.
Yeah.
Because bringing that humour between us and into teaching and then giving you some information with that sees us as human as well. And you can relate to us. And we actually do relate to each other that way as well.
Yeah, and it's going to sound cheesy, but learning is fun. That's a foundation of education, learning from each other, making jokes about it, We're learning as we go through it, and as we're growing with it too. And and you mentioned as well, actually, I should throw in too, that we stitched up Kate that first time in the season.
Oh, she didn't know it was coming.
Yeah. What about tonight, Rob?
I think we stitched her up tonight too. She was quickly doing her makeup.
Yes. I did not have other things prepared. But anyway.
Yeah, we've kind of thrown you on the spot too, Kate, even tonight. But look, you've come so far, both obviously beyond and behind the camera, but also in front, you're kind of just in your group now, aren't you?
Thank you. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Yes. I need to speak up a bit more, but yeah.
I think we're gonna have an offshoot called, what are we calling it?
I haven't decided on the name yet.
That's a good name for it. I haven't decided.
Yet.
Episodes with Kate. This is what we want. So we're going to sit Kate by herself.
Yeah.
She will talk or she will have her guest.
Yes. I was going to say not wholly by myself. I'll have a guest.
You'll have a guest.
Have a friend. Yes, I haven't quite to come. Yeah.
But it will happen. See, no pressure.
It will. Yeah. You stitch me up again. It's fine.
That's fine. This is what we do.
Yeah. So, but I really, again, I think I love all our episodes. I don't think I've really had any episodes where I've gone no.
Yeah.
I like all our guests. I love watching when our guest videos do really well.
Yeah.
I will say I think our top 3 for the first year by far were 3 guests.
Yeah.
Simon, Nick and Stoyan.
Yeah.
And even when you get teachers from different walks of life, so even in that trio, we've got a history teacher who's a principal, English teacher and a science teacher. They're all still teachers who are so passionate about education and connecting with their students and everything that teaching includes. It's just great just to bring that to a wider audience.
Yeah, we that's what we want to show, especially when we want to guest. We want to do them justice.
Yeah.
And show what is their story and how passionate they are, and how did they get to that point? Because I found with all our guests too, they are all very inspiring people.
I found it actually easy, just getting them comfortable. And then they naturally bring their expertise.
Letting them go.
Yeah.
Letting them go.
Yeah.
It's and we're so grateful to have them on.
Yeah.
It's one of those things when they step in through the doors, I'm like, thank you so much for this.
Yeah.
And just sitting back and just throwing a few questions, whether they're scripted or there are curveball questions. I think I threw some curveball assignment.
Yeah.
But that's what made it so good.
Oh, and Amy, the ballet teacher.
Yeah.
She was really good too.
Yeah.
She's always good fun, Amy.
But also, again, a different form of teacher, but just so passionate. And it just came across.
Yeah.
And the vaping episode, that was really
With
informative.
Kim, yeah.
With Kim.
You can almost see a real expert in a very specific field.
It's so relevant, and such a good cause, and she does amazing work in what she does there too. And look, we've even got a shout out to the people we've had on this season too. The young educators that we had on.
Oh, absolutely, and the very experienced ones.
Exactly, right across, the whole range too. Just showing how amazing teaching is at those different points of the career and how they've all found ways to stay motivated, and keep themselves enthusiastic in the classroom.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for example, I was blown away and overwhelmed that we can actually, Tala came on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a person of 40 years standing on a whiteboard.
And wanting to keep going.
Yeah.
And the chalkboard.
Whiteboard. Man, he's been there from the beginning.
Yeah, that's it.
And the fact that someone like him is passionate as he was from the first day he started teaching.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it
that-
shows us too, at 65 too, when, obviously a lot of us have got well-deserved retirement coming in, but to see someone's like, no, I want to keep going and setting an infrastructure that'll be in place when I go.
Yeah, and more than keep going, he actually had goals that he wants to achieve still.
Yeah.
Like fresh goals he set that he wants to move into. And also as well, Mary, she just at the time of the podcast, she actually became part of the leadership team.
Yeah.
And I'm actually looking at her doing this well-being job and going, man, at first I thought, how's she going to do this?
Yeah.
Like, this is a caring, compassionate teacher, loving mother, family-orientated woman, all of a sudden thrown into the deepest end of the school, dealing with well-being, with teachers' well-being, students' well-being, all the complaints, everything that's running on in the school.
Things that pull you away from the teaching,
absolutely.
And then balancing all that.
Yeah, and I literally hang my hat off to her,
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And then obviously to Luke and Alana too, right?
Absolutely.
Seeing those young teachers, who are already just making great moves, that want to be amazing educators, taking on advanced maths in your first year of education, that some people can't even do 20 years in, to have that motivation, and then, Luke there too, newly proficient, ambitious.
Yeah, looking at someone young and hungry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's just good to see that, it's in good hands, education, and hopefully, bringing in more people with
Absolutely.
enthusiasm.
So, what's in store for us? What's ahead now?
Where are we going?
Where are we going? Kate.
Well, domination.
That's right. Teaching.
Gotta want it all.
Not totally joking at that.
We just say yes, Kate.
Yes,
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 Kate.
Kate.
She wants world domination. We say
make it happen.
yes, Kate. That's it.
Yes, Kate. Obviously, more guest stars.
We are, Ray, and I think for season 4, we're going to try to get experts in the season of health, aren't we?
Yeah, get professionals in that are non-teachers.
Yeah.
But as teachers, we need to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, I think
This becomes important mentally, physically, spiritually as well. In every aspect, we got to make sure that, okay, you're educating others. As we're doing this podcast, we have to start educating ourselves now.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm looking forward to now when we've got our guests lined up.
Tips for students as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because it applies to everyone. We've already mentioned high school is a very stressful time, especially in that HSC year 2, how important it is in balance. Rob did his fantastic episode on sleep, but we've also talked about, the work-life balance of school. But all these things we do talk about in a school context pretty much apply to in any industry that you're in, that you've got to have these things that you look after, your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, and all of that. So that's kind of going to be the avenue we target in season 4. And wow, it makes us sound like veterans, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, but it's still it's an educational podcast, but it's a podcast about, living a better life. Get the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, well, there's got to be a little bit of criticism on, what am I doing right?
Yep.
And now what can I incrementally improve?
Yep.
So hopefully with season 4, we can give you tips and processes that you can actually do that from experts in the field. So this is what we want to get across.
And really setting up routines. Things that'll give you a bit of guidance. And as you said, with everything we talk about in education, some things will stick and you'll be like, yep, that sounds great. And some people like, try it, like, no, maybe it wasn't for me. But really, it's just about getting it out there, what we can.
Well,
And just trying.
Yeah, give it a try.
Yeah.
have to. As teachers, as educators, you need to constantly be educating yourself. Now we can... I do. Me and you do it all the time. You rewrite your programs, you rewrite your notes, etc. But then, wait a second. What are you doing as a person now to better yourself? That can be anything from simple change in diet to some sort of healthy activity to okay, I'm gonna make it my mission to read a book, maybe monthly, or get through 3-4 books a year. If you're, say a PE teacher or a maths teacher, so it could be something that, can get yourself into an uncomfortable position where you can learn and grow. And this is what this podcast has done for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Put us in
Absolutely.
that situation. And with what you're saying, the only element you can truly control in life is yourself.
100%.
So if you're hoping to improve your scenario, what changes can you make to hopefully get you on that? Whether it's in the realm of physical health, professional growth, and all that. So that's kind of the avenue we're looking to go. What do you think, Kate?
Well, I'm just really glad that I learned that 7 hours sleep is really good for you.
That was that's the podcast I felt most intimidated.
But you brought so much to it.
So much. The reams of research.
Yeah.
The problem is that is well podcasted. I mean, you've got experts who have done the research like Matthew Walker, and now I have to we're doing a talk on the podcast for it.
Yeah.
Now, it's not something, of course, I've read it a few times for myself, certain information that I do in my life to improve my mental ability and my physical ability. But then to actually talk about it in a podcast where people will listen to you, that brought another level of anxiety to me.
Yeah.
So in all truth, took me a month. I spent a month, I read the book, I audioed the book, read the book again, and then listened to Matthew Walker in different podcasts. Yeah. Just to make sure that, okay, whatever information I'm bringing on can be at some point as accurate as I can deliver it. So maybe, hearing it from a less scientific voice can come across to people. Yeah. And then they can do their own research on it.
Well, that's it, eh? You clearly wanted to do him justice, and I think you did very well. You know that too. And then obviously opened up his content to our audience, and it was good because then you were able to refer him to his book, okay? And also, hopefully encourage people why it is so important that we sleep. Yeah. I found it reassuring, and I've been able to share that information with people. So it's actually been such a great thing that you brought to our audience. That information, and it's such a foundation.
And it's given me the information to bring it on to the school I'm teaching at now. So at the school I'm at, we do a pastoral class every week, and I've got the year 10s. And then being able to pour that information out to them was very rewarding, and it was my most engaging class for them. Yeah. So as ourselves, I can say, thank God for this podcast actually made me do that. Yeah. Whereas previously, I did read the book, I enjoyed it, certain things that I kind of changed in my life with the book, and that was it. But it was a different level, diving deep into it.
Yeah, to practice what you preached.
Yes.
Even more, practice because I've lived my life that way. There's certain things that a person will show me, okay, do this way, great. To actually do it for myself is one thing.
Yeah.
To give that information to someone else, that's another level altogether. Yeah. There's a certain responsibility that you have with that. Yeah. So I did find that a little intimidating. So I did over prepare for it as best I could. So.
Yeah, but you came across well, and you did his work justice. So
and the podcast where it did come across well. I was very, very sick for my martial arts podcast.
Yeah.
That was I can't remember it. Actually,
it's not published at this point.
Not published at this point. I haven't heard it yet.
Editing it. Yeah. So
I think I had bronchitis or something. It was a whole list of things had shut my immune system down. So by the time we finished recording, I went home. It was actually we had gastro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we had gastro the following day. I wasn't right that night, and then chucked on with a fever. I didn't take any sickies at school, and all of a sudden I was 2 weeks off school.
Yeah.
Straight after that.
Hard.
Yeah, hit me hard. Yeah. So I've still yet to listen to that podcast. I think it's coming out next, Kate.
Yeah. Yes. Well, sorry, it's the first in this season.
In this current season.
So by the time you listen to this podcast,
it'll be
go
out.
back and listen to that.
Tell us in the comments if you noticed anything.
Yes.
Exactly. We've turned into a Chris Nolan non-linear timeline.
That's right. Breaking the fourth dimension.
Exactly. Yeah. You had an episode where you recorded, and then 2 days later you came down with COVID.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, which one was that again? I was wrecked for it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. That was, I think, that was back in season 1, I think.
I think so. It was pretty
and I had no energy and I was running out of voice too. And it's funny, we pushed through and, hopefully we've been able to, hold it at bay when we do have it. But, it's good to show too because we're doing something we love, you can push through it. I think our biggest concern is that we don't give it to each other. Each other's sick.
If I was ever going to catch COVID, it was then.
Yeah, less than a meter away from
But it was fine. No matter what happens, the show must go on. Yeah, that's it.
And I think that's an important thing to say, coming back to the point of what this episode is about and what have we learned. consistency is very key.
Yeah.
We've got to keep it consistent and keep, recording weekly. We do take breaks between seasons, but, making sure that we've got a consistent time of the week we do it, and that we have planned, that is so important, that if you are going to start up a project like this, consistency and having a team that's willing to be consistent with you, extremely important.
And enjoy it. Don't worry about the likes.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the likes and how successful it is. The likes are not a measure of your success.
No.
Well, what I find the measure of success was the fulfillment in actually doing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Learning, especially. You know? Especially the most was off your AI.
Yeah.
That was
a big
great.
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in that field. I'm learning as we go too, but and that's an important thing to show too. Sometimes you're not an expert in a particular area, but you know a little bit, but that little bit is introductory to other people out there, and it gets them thinking about that realm too. So like in no way, and we've mentioned it in episodes 2 before, we are not experts in a lot of the areas we talk about, but just by sharing the knowledge we do have in that area, hopefully shows that that is a meaningful area that opens it up to our audience, and it might be something they want to look into too. But we often clearly say we're not experts, but at least we're getting the dialogue started on these areas, and hopefully making people feel more comfortable about engaging these areas in their own growth.
And we are learning as well.
Yeah.
That's
And
something we have to
are
stress.
ongoing
stress
learners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any last comments on the year that was?
Thank you for watching us and listening to us, and thank you for every comment, every like, and we really appreciate you guys. So
We really
Absolutely.
do, especially at this point too. As said, we're getting a lot of positive feedback. It's not just from my mum and dad anymore. It's broadened out a bit more. Okay, so we really do appreciate it. We're going to try to get a few more live episodes out too to engage with the audience too. So keep an eye on our socials for when that comes out, because we'll give a bit of an advance notice, and we'll say dates and times for when we're going to do it too. But we have appreciated everyone that's out there, the positive comments. They're keeping us going. We love doing it. We're enjoying doing it, and hopefully we can keep doing it and keep connecting with you. We want to satisfy your needs and work for our community.
Yep. Again, thank you so much. And if you like what we're doing here, share, like, subscribe.
He's mastered it.
he did
Got
it.
Look at that.
3 seasons later, finally.
Yeah.
In all respect, and thank you to all the guests that have come on so far and the ones that will come on in the future. You're giving us your time away from your families, and you're, most important of all, you're giving us your expertise so that we can learn, and our audience as well. Thank you again. I'm Robert Namoski.
I'm Chris Kalodakis.
And I'm Kate Pentecost.
Thank you for season 3.
Yay!
We did it. Easy.